There comes a moment in life when you realize you're not just existing anymore. You're truly living, but it rarely feels dramatic or like a sudden explosion of change. More often, it's a series of subtle signs, quiet shifts, and new habits that begin to take root. It's almost as if the universe is whispering to you, telling you that you've stepped onto a new path. The problem is, most people miss those signs because they expect something huge. The first sign is clarity. Not clarity about everything, but clarity about something. Maybe you've finally decided on the kind of person you want to be. Maybe you've stopped chasing what everyone else says you should want and started pursuing what matters to you. Clarity doesn't arrive as a loud announcement. It's more like a gentle compass pointing you toward your own north. Another sign is discomfort. Yes, discomfort. If you've started feeling uneasy about staying the same, that's a good thing. Growth is uncomfortable by nature because it forces you to leave behind what's familiar. You'll notice you're less willing to settle for situations, relationships, or environments that don't align with your values. That restlessness, it's not a flaw. It's the signal that you're outgrowing your old life. The third sign is your willingness to learn. You stop pretending you have it all figured out. You start asking more questions, reading more books, listening more closely to others. Life begins when curiosity outweighs ego, when the desire to understand is greater than the need to be right. Then there's the sign of courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. You might take that new job, start that project, or finally speak your truth. Fear will still be there, but it no longer has the final say. And finally, there's the sign of connection. You begin surrounding yourself with people who energize you instead of drain you, who challenge you instead of limit you. You're drawn to those who inspire you to become more, and you start letting go of those who hold you back. When you notice these signs, understand something important. This is not the finish line. This is the starting point. Your life isn't finally beginning because the world gave you permission. It's beginning because you did. The truth is, life doesn't start when circumstances change. It starts when your mindset changes. So pay attention to the small shifts, the quiet moments of courage, the tiny steps toward the person you want to be. That's where the real beginning happens. And when you see those signs, don't ignore them. Lean into them. Because this is the start of a story only you can write. 5 keynotes of the speech clarity about personal values and direction is a strong indicator of a fresh beginning. Discomfort and restlessness are signs of growth, not failure. Openness to learning signals readiness for transformation. Courage is moving forward despite fear, not in the absence of it. Surrounding yourself with uplifting, inspiring people accelerates personal growth. Clarity about personal values and direction is one of the most profound and empowering signs that your life is truly beginning. It is the moment when you stop living reactively, merely responding to circumstances, and start living proactively, guided by a deeper sense of purpose. Clarity is not about having every detail of your future mapped out. It is about knowing the foundation on which you will build your decisions. It is the recognition of what matters most to you, what you stand for, and what you are unwilling to compromise on. Without clarity, life feels like drifting in the middle of an ocean, at the mercy of tides and winds that you cannot control. With clarity, you still face the same winds, but now you have a compass in your hand. The process of gaining clarity often begins quietly. It may come from moments of frustration when you realize that the things you've been chasing do not bring lasting fulfillment. It may arise from reflection when you start to question why you have been following a certain path in the first place. Clarity is rarely given to you by someone else. It is earned through self-awareness. You begin to listen more closely to your own thoughts and feelings instead of relying solely on the expectations of others. You start noticing patterns, moments when you feel most alive and engaged, and moments when you feel drained or unfulfilled. Those patterns become clues to what you truly value. When you develop clarity about your values, decision-making becomes simpler, not necessarily easier. The complexity of life does not disappear, but you have a framework for making choices. If you know that honesty is a core value, you will refuse to compromise it, even if it costs you opportunities in the short term. If growth is one of your values, you will pursue experiences that challenge you, even if they are uncomfortable. If kindness is important to you, you will act in ways that uphold it, even when it is inconvenient. Clarity acts as a filter, allowing you to distinguish between what is aligned with your purpose and what is merely a distraction. Direction, on the other hand, is clarity in motion. Knowing your values is the first step. Deciding how to live them out is the second. Direction is not the same as having a rigid plan for the next 10 years. Life rarely unfolds in straight lines. Instead, direction is about having a sense of where you are headed and why. It is about moving toward a vision that excites you and feels meaningful, even if you do not yet know every step of the journey. With direction, you no longer wander aimlessly from one thing to another. hoping that something will eventually feel right. You have a trajectory, a purpose that fuels your daily actions. The most powerful aspect of clarity and direction is how they influence your mindset. Once you know what matters to you and where you are headed, you stop seeking validation in every opinion around you. You are less swayed by trends or pressures that do not align with your values. You become intentional with your time and energy because you understand they are finite. People without clarity often spread themselves thin, chasing too many things at once and ending up feeling exhausted and unfulfilled. People with clarity know how to say no without guilt, because every no to something unimportant is a yes to what truly matters. Clarity also changes the way you handle setbacks. Without a sense of purpose, failures feel like the end of the road. But when you are clear about your values and direction, failures become temporary detours rather than dead ends. They may slow you down, but they do not make you question the worthiness of your journey. You understand that obstacles are part of the process, and you are willing to adjust your route without abandoning your destination. It is important to remember that clarity is not a one-time discovery. It is an evolving process. As you grow and your life circumstances change, your values may deepen and your direction may shift. The clarity you have today might not look exactly the same 5 years from now, but it will still serve as your guiding light. Staying connected to your values requires regular reflection, moments where you pause to check if your current actions still align with the person you are becoming. Ultimately, clarity about your personal values and direction liberates you from living by accident. It allows you to live with intention, to build a life that reflects who you truly are, and to take steps toward a future that excites you. When you notice yourself becoming more certain about what you stand for and where you want to go, it is not just a sign that change is coming. It is proof that you have already stepped into the beginning of a new chapter of your life. Discomfort and restlessness are often misunderstood as negative experiences, but in reality, they can be some of the clearest indicators that you are growing and stepping into a new phase of life. Most people are taught to seek comfort, to aim for stability, and to avoid the unknown. Comfort feels safe, it feels familiar. But the truth is, real change and personal growth almost never happen in comfort zones. When you start feeling restless, when the routines you once accepted without question begin to feel limiting, it is often because you are outgrowing them. This is the body and mind's way of signaling that you are ready for something more, something that challenges you to expand beyond your current boundaries. Discomfort often shows up first as dissatisfaction. You may find yourself less excited about activities or relationships that once brought you joy. The job that once felt secure now feels like a cage. The environment you once tolerated begins to drain your energy. This dissatisfaction isn't a sign that you've failed. It's a sign that your standards for your own life are rising. You begin to notice that you want more meaning in your days, more challenge, more alignment between who you are and how you live. That gap between where you are and where you want to be can feel uncomfortable, even frustrating, but it is in that tension where growth begins. Restlessness can also come from a deep awareness that time is passing and you are not where you want to be. You might catch yourself imagining different possibilities, living in a new city, starting a new career, pursuing a passion you have long ignored. These thoughts are not random. They are signals that your mind is exploring the idea of change before your body takes the leap. The more often these ideas appear, the stronger the message becomes. Staying where you are may no longer be serving your growth. The challenge is that discomfort pushes you toward the unknown, and the unknown is intimidating. There is fear attached to leaving the familiar. You might worry about making the wrong decision or failing in a new endeavor. But if you examine your life's greatest moments of transformation, you will often find that they were preceded by periods of deep discomfort. That unease acted as a catalyst, forcing you to take risks you might not have otherwise considered. Discomfort is also a teacher. It shows you where you need to grow. If speaking in public makes you nervous, perhaps it is a sign that improving your communication skills could open new doors. If you feel anxious in leadership roles, it could be an invitation to develop confidence and decision-making abilities. If you are restless in your daily life, it may be that your purpose is calling you towards something that demands more of your creativity, discipline, or resilience. The discomfort isn't there to punish you. It's there to point you toward areas of potential growth. It is worth noting that not all discomfort means you should immediately abandon your current path. Sometimes the restlessness you feel is a sign that you need to adjust your approach rather than start over entirely. For example, you may not need to quit your job, but instead take on projects that challenge you and reignite your passion. You may not need to end a relationship, but rather communicate your needs more clearly so it can evolve into something more fulfilling. The key is to listen to what your discomfort is telling you and then discern whether the change required is internal, external, or both. The reason discomfort is such a reliable sign of a new beginning is that it disrupts the autopilot mode many people live in. When you are comfortable, you stop questioning. You stop looking for ways to grow because everything feels predictable. But when you are restless, you start asking bigger questions. Is this all there is? Am I living the life I truly want? What would happen if I took a leap into something different? These questions are the seeds of transformation, and they often lead to choices that redefine your life. Restlessness is not always pleasant, and discomfort is rarely convenient, but they are some of the most powerful motivators you will ever encounter. They push you to challenge your assumptions, to take risks, and to imagine a reality beyond your current circumstances. The mistake many people make is interpreting these feelings as something to be fixed or avoided, rather than as signals to be explored. The moment you begin to see discomfort as an ally rather than an enemy, you open the door to possibilities you may have never considered before. When you notice that you are no longer satisfied with staying the same, when the thought of repeating your current life for the next decade feels unbearable, that is not a crisis. It is a beginning. It is the part of your journey where you are being prepared for change, even if you do not yet see the full picture. Embracing that discomfort, leaning into that restlessness, and allowing it to guide you forward is one of the clearest signs that your life is moving towards something new, something that may challenge you, but will ultimately expand you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Openness to learning is one of the clearest indicators that you are ready for a new chapter in your life. It marks the point where you stop pretending that you have all the answers and instead start valuing the process of discovery. When you are open to learning, you release the need to always be right and you allow curiosity to guide you. This shift in mindset is powerful because it transforms how you interact with the world. Instead of seeing challenges as threats, you begin to see them as opportunities to expand your skills, knowledge, and understanding. This change is not just intellectual, it is deeply emotional and personal. It signals humility, the recognition that there is always more to know, and that every experience, whether positive or negative, can teach you something valuable. Openness to learning often emerges when you become aware that your current way of thinking has limits. Perhaps you have encountered a problem you cannot solve with the tools you have, or maybe you've met people whose perspectives challenge your assumptions. In those moments, you realize that growth requires more than repeating what you already know. It requires being willing to explore new ideas even if they make you uncomfortable. This willingness is the foundation of progress, because learning often involves unlearning habits, beliefs, and behaviors that no longer serve you. When you are open to learning, you seek out knowledge intentionally. You read books not just for entertainment, but to gain insights that can shape your thinking. You listen to others, not simply to respond, but to truly understand their point of view. You ask questions without fearing that they will make you look ignorant, because you value truth more than appearance. This change in how you engage with the world allows you to gather tools and perspectives that prepare you for bigger opportunities ahead. One of the most transformative aspects of openness to learning is that it removes the pressure to be perfect. Perfection implies that there is a final point where growth stops, but learning is a continuous journey. When you embrace learning, you accept that mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. You stop seeing setbacks as proof that you are inadequate and start seeing them as feedback that guides you toward better decisions. This shift in perspective creates resilience because you're no longer crushed by challenges, you are motivated by them. Another powerful element of being open to learning is the way it deepens your relationships. When you are willing to learn, you become a better listener and communicator. You can engage in conversations with people who think differently without becoming defensive, because your goal is not to win an argument, but to expand your understanding. This openness attracts people who value growth, and those connections often play a key role in your personal and professional development. Openness to learning also makes you more adaptable. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how well you plan, unexpected changes will come. People who resist learning often struggle when circumstances shift because they cling to old ways of doing things. But those who are open to learning can adjust quickly, picking up new skills and strategies to meet the demands of the moment. This adaptability not only helps you survive change, but also positions you to take advantage of it. It is important to understand that openness to learning is not passive. It is not simply waiting for life to teach you lessons. It is actively seeking them out. It means setting aside time to reflect on what you have learned from each day, each interaction, and each challenge. It means looking for patterns in your successes and failures so you can make more informed choices in the future. It means being willing to admit when you are wrong and having the courage to change course when new information proves there is a better way. The moment you choose to live with this kind of openness, your life begins to change. You start seeing potential in places you once overlooked. You notice opportunities for growth in conversations, in books, in experiences, and even in moments of discomfort. You become more intentional with how you spend your time because you recognize that every moment can be used to learn something that moves you closer to your goals. Being open to learning is not about collecting random bits of information. It is about transformation. It is about allowing each new insight to shape you into a better version of yourself. And as this openness grows, you find yourself more prepared, more confident, and more capable of stepping into the next stage of your journey. This willingness to learn is one of the most powerful signs that your life is truly beginning, because it means you are no longer limited by what you already know. You are expanding into what you are capable of becoming. Courage is often misunderstood as the absence of fear, but in reality, courage exists precisely because fear is present. It is the decision to take action despite feeling uncertain, anxious, or vulnerable. When you begin to move forward even while fear whispers in your ear, it is a strong sign that your life is beginning a new chapter. This kind of courage is not loud or reckless. It is often quiet and deliberate. It can show up in small choices, speaking your mind in a meeting, admitting a mistake, making a phone call you've been avoiding, or in life-changing decisions like switching careers, starting a business, or ending a relationship that no longer serves you. In every case, courage is about valuing your growth more than your comfort. The truth is, fear is a natural part of any meaningful change. If you wait until you feel completely ready, you will wait forever. Courage is understanding that readiness is not a prerequisite for action. It is recognizing that you will never have every detail figured out before you begin and deciding to take the first step anyway. This shift in mindset is powerful because it changes how you respond to uncertainty. Instead of seeing the unknown as a threat, you begin to see it as an open space filled with possibility. One of the clearest signs that courage is taking root in your life is that you stop letting fear dictate your decisions. Fear will still be there, offering its familiar excuses, reminding you of all the things that could go wrong, painting vivid pictures of failure, but you begin to notice that you can acknowledge its voice without obeying it. This is not about eliminating fear. It is about building the strength to move forward alongside it. In fact, fear can even become a guide because it often points toward the very areas where growth is possible. Courage also changes the way you view failure. Without courage, failure feels like proof that you were never capable in the first place. But when you act courageously, you understand that failure is simply part of the process of learning and improving. Each misstep becomes a lesson rather than a verdict. This makes you more willing to take calculated risks, knowing that even if things don't go as planned, you will gain experience and resilience that will serve you in the future. Another important aspect of courage is its ripple effect. When you make bold choices in your own life, you give others permission to do the same. People notice when you stand up for what you believe in, when you take action toward your goals, or when you face challenges head on. Your example can inspire those around you to confront their own fears and take steps toward their own aspirations. Courage in this way is contagious. It creates an environment where growth becomes normal and fear loses its grip. Courage is not only about big dramatic moves, it is also about consistency. It can mean showing up every day to work on a dream that no one else believes in yet. It can mean having difficult conversations to repair or end relationships. It can mean staying committed to your values even when it would be easier to compromise. These moments of quiet courage build over time, strengthening your ability to take on larger challenges when they arise. The path of courage is rarely comfortable. There will be moments of doubt, days when you question your decisions, and times when you wish you could retreat back into safety. But it is in continuing to move forward despite these feelings that courage deepens. You begin to realize that you are more capable than you once believed, and that fear loses much of its power once you take action. When you act courageously, you also open the door to unexpected opportunities. Many of the most rewarding experiences in life are hidden behind moments of fear. Introducing yourself to someone who could change your career, traveling to a place you've never been, taking on a role you feel unqualified for. Without courage, you might never discover these possibilities. With it, you create a life that is richer and more aligned with your true potential. Ultimately, courage is not a single act, but a way of living. It is the habit of choosing growth over comfort, action over hesitation, and authenticity over fear. When you start making choices that require bravery, whether in small daily actions or in major life decisions, it is a clear signal that your life is shifting into a new phase. Fear may still knock at your door, but courage ensures that it never takes the lead. That is when you know you are truly beginning to live. Surrounding yourself with uplifting, inspiring people is one of the most transformative choices you can make when stepping into a new chapter of life. The people you spend the most time with inevitably influence your thoughts, habits, and perspective. They shape the energy you bring to your days, the courage you feel when pursuing your goals, and even the way you see yourself. When you begin intentionally seeking out relationships that encourage growth and letting go of those that hold you back, it is a clear sign that you are beginning to live with purpose and direction. The influence of your environment cannot be overstated. If you are constantly surrounded by negativity, cynicism, or people who doubt your potential, it becomes much harder to believe in yourself. Over time, their doubts can seep into your own thinking until you begin to question your abilities and settle for less than you are capable of achieving. On the other hand, being in the presence of people who genuinely believe in you, who challenge you to aim higher, and who model the kind of life you want to live can accelerate your growth in ways you may never have imagined. Inspiring people are not necessarily the loudest or most charismatic individuals in the room. Often they are those who live with integrity, who pursue their passions with dedication, and who treat others with kindness and respect. They may be friends, mentors, colleagues, or even family members. What matters is that their presence makes you want to be better, not because they pressure you, but because they show you what is possible. When you see someone embody the qualities you admire, it becomes easier to believe that you can cultivate those qualities in yourself. Choosing to surround yourself with uplifting people also means making the difficult decision to create distance from those who drain your energy or keep you stuck in old patterns. This can be one of the hardest parts of personal growth because it may involve stepping away from relationships you have had for years. But when someone consistently undermines your confidence, dismisses your dreams, or keeps you locked in cycles of negativity, staying connected to them can quietly erode your potential. Recognizing this and taking action is not about judging or resenting them. It is about protecting your own mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. The people you surround yourself with not only affect your mood and mindset, but also your opportunities. A single encouraging conversation with the right person can spark an idea, lead to a new connection, or inspire you to take a step you have been avoiding. When you spend time with those who are committed to their own growth, they often bring fresh perspectives and resources into your life. They share knowledge, experiences, and lessons that can help you navigate your own path more effectively. In this way, the right relationships can act as accelerators for your personal and professional progress. It is also important to note that surrounding yourself with inspiring people does not mean seeking perfection in others. Everyone has flaws, struggles, and moments of doubt. What matters is that the people you choose to keep close are actively working on themselves, just as you are. Their commitment to growth, even in the face of challenges, can be as inspiring as their successes. Seeing someone navigate setbacks with resilience can remind you that progress is not about avoiding failure, but about learning and moving forward. As you grow, you will likely notice that your circle begins to shift. You may naturally spend less time with those whose values no longer align with yours and more time with those who support and challenge you in meaningful ways. This is not about cutting people out for the sake of it. It is about aligning your environment with the person you are becoming. Over time, your circle becomes a reflection of your priorities, your mindset, and your vision for the future. One of the most rewarding outcomes of surrounding yourself with uplifting people is that you, in turn, become a source of inspiration for others. Just as you have been encouraged and motivated by those around you, your own growth and commitment can have a ripple effect. Your actions, words, and resilience can influence someone else to take a step toward their own goals. In this way, choosing the right people not only transforms your life, but also contributes to a cycle of encouragement and positive change that extends far beyond you. When you notice that you are becoming intentional about who you allow into your inner circle, choosing those who bring light, motivation, and truth into your life, it is a powerful sign that your priorities have shifted. You are no longer simply accepting whoever happens to be in your life by default. You are curating an environment that supports the best version of you. This kind of intentional connection is a strong marker that you are stepping into a new and more purposeful chapter, one where your relationships fuel your journey rather than hinder it. When you begin to notice these signs, clarity about your values, the discomfort that pushes you toward growth, an openness to learning, the courage to act despite fear, and the choice to surround yourself with uplifting people, you are witnessing the quiet but powerful beginning of a new chapter in your life. These shifts may not arrive with fanfare, but they mark a fundamental change in how you see yourself and the world around you. They show that you are no longer drifting through life on autopilot. You are awake, intentional, and willing to create a future that reflects your true self. This is not the end of the journey, but the start of living it fully. The real beginning of life happens not when the world changes for you, but when you decide to change for yourself. And from that moment on, every step you take becomes part of the story only you can write.